He pressed his ear to the steel and listened. The tank was groaning, not creaking, groaning, like something in pain. Isaac Gonzales heard it every night. Metal was not supposed to make that sound, he told them. He told them again. They painted the tank brown and sent him home. Above the harbor, the giant kept humming to itself in the dark. Boston, the years after the Great War. The North End was loud, crowded, alive. Italian families packed the tenements near the harbor. Children played in the shadow of something new. A tank. It rose over the rooftops, painted the color of rust. It belonged to the Purity Distilling Company. Inside it sat molasses. More than a neighborhood could imagine, not for pancakes, for alcohol, for rum, and for the explosives a hungry nation still wanted. Molasses was money, and money was in a hurry. The man in a hurry was Arthur Gell, a treasurer, not an engineer. He had never built anything in his life. He was told to raise a tank fast and cheap, so he did. He hired no inspector. He read no blueprint he understood. When the tank was finished, there was a way to test it. Fill it with water first, watch for leaks. Water was free, water was safe. Gell skipped the test. He was behind schedule. He filled it with molasses instead. The molasses arrived by sea. The tank swelled, and along its seams, thin dark lines began to weep. The neighborhood noticed. The children noticed. They came with pails. The lines were leaks. The tank was bleeding. Isaac Gonzales worked at its base. Every morning he found fresh molasses pooling in the dirt. Children scooped it into cans and carried it home. Sweet, free, harmless, or so it seemed. Gonzales was not an engineer either, but he had ears. At night, when the yard was empty, the tank spoke, a deep metallic moan, then a sharp crack like a rifle. He climbed the ladder and pressed his hands to the steel. He could feel it straining. He went to his superiors. He told them the tank was failing. Their answer was paint. They ordered the tank painted brown, rust brown, the exact color of molasses. Now the leaks would not show. The stains would blend in. The problem was not fixed. The problem was hidden. Gonzales could not sleep. He began coming to the yard at night, alone, just to listen. He drained the tank when he could, terrified of the pressure. His bosses told him to stop worrying. The tank had passed. There had been no test, but it had passed. He wrote to them. He warned them in plain words. Something was wrong with the steel. The seams could not hold. Every autumn the tank was filled to the brim. Every winter the metal contracted in the cold. And every warm delivery made it swell again. Expand, contract, expand, contract. The steel was being worked like a wire bent back and forth. Locals heard the rumbling too. They joked about it, the tank that talked. They stopped joking mostly. The company collected its profits. The tank collected its stress, one groan at a time. Gonzales eventually left. He could not bear to wait for what he knew was coming. He begged them to listen. No one did. The file with his warning went into a drawer. The drawer closed. They buried this file for years. Subscribe, because there are more. And the tank stood over the north end, full and warm and quiet, for now. January, an unusually warm afternoon. The city thawed under a strange, gentle sun. Workers ate lunch in the yard. A fireman played cards nearby. Somewhere, deep in the steel, a rivet let go. Then another. Witnesses said it sounded like a machine gun. Then the ground shook. The tank did not crack. The tank came apart. A wall of dark molasses rose into the winter air. It moved faster than a person could run, faster than a car. A tide of syrup, tall as a building, tearing through the street. It did not flow. It smashed. Buildings folded. A firehouse was lifted off its foundation. Train tracks twisted like ribbon. The wave swallowed carts, horses, and people. Molasses is not gentle in the cold. It is thick. It is heavy, it fills the lungs and holds you where you stand. There was no swimming through it. There was no pulling free. The screaming came first, then the silence, then the slow sucking sound of the flood settling. Rescuers waded in and became trapped themselves. Every step pulled them down. The sweet smell hung over everything. It would hang there for weeks. When the sun set, the north end was gone under a black, glistening skin. The answer was in a drawer no one had opened. Here is what killed them. The tank was built wrong from the first day. Its walls were too thin, half as thick as they needed to be. The steel itself was flawed, brittle, cheap. It could not bend without breaking. Every tank needs a safety factor, extra strength in case of the unexpected. This one had almost none. It was built to hold exactly what it held, and not a drop more. No room for a cold night, no room for pressure, no room for a mistake. And the rivets, the seams Gonzales feared, were the weakest part of all. The stress gathered there, exactly where he had pressed his hands. The warm delivery raised the pressure inside. The old tired steel finally reached its limit. The crack that started at a rivet hole raced across the wall in an instant. The tank unzipped itself. Every warning Gonzales gave had described this precisely. The groaning was the steel yielding. The leaks were the seams parting. The brown paint had hidden the evidence of a structure already dying. It was never a freak accident. It was a countdown, and the clock had been ticking since the day Arthur Gell skipped the test. The dead numbered 21. More than 150 were hurt. It was the largest case Boston courts had ever seen. For years, the company blamed anarchists. A bomb, they said, sabotage, anything but the tank. The court did not believe them. Investigators found the truth in the steel, too thin, never tested. Warned about in writing and ignored. The company paid. Building codes changed forever. From then on, engineers had to sign their plans. Calculations had to be checked. The age of building fast and cheap was over. But here is the part that should keep you awake. The flaw in the steel did not have to be fatal. Isaac Gonzales saw it coming. He heard it, felt it, wrote it down, and begged them to act. The failure was never really the tank. The tank was just metal doing what tired metal does. The real failure was a drawer, and a warning inside it that no one wanted to read. Decades later, a crowded walkway hung above a hotel lobby, and one engineer changed a single bolt, and no one checked his math.